Hi there. Last week we had our Introduction to Agile Change webinars, and we gathered a number of really good questions that I thought it might be useful to share some answers more broadly across the network. So, the first question that we got it was a very insightful question that was really about two things. One, did the organization need to have a high level of change maturity to be successful with adopting Agile Change? Second, does the change practitioner have to be really experienced in the space of change management to know what tools they need to drop, which is a phrase we introduce in the webinar? And so, on that first question, I think um, from an organizational change maturity perspective, I think that sometimes agile change can be really beneficial to organizations that have relatively low change maturity. And that's because sometimes those type of organizations who know that they have low change maturity use that as an excuse for not doing any change management at all. So it's, oh, we're very low on change maturity. That wouldn't work here. We don't have change managers. Whereas because you can introduce the practices and the principles and the concepts and the tools of agile change in a relatively organic way of just supporting new ways of working, you find that you can infiltrate a low maturity organization with respect to change management. It's a little bit like you're hiding the greater zucchini in the brownie batter, as a way of introducing something that's good for them in a way that they don't necessarily recognize. So, the second question around, do you need to be very experienced as a change practitioner to be successful with agile change? Now, this is a question that I would have answered very differently perhaps 6, 7 years ago. At that time, I did think that you needed quite a few years on your belt and experience in change management across methodologies and processes and approaches to have the wisdom to know, if you're having to do things faster and more successive with shorter runways, then you would need that wisdom to know what you're going to let go of and what you're going to go forward with. However, I'm now at the point where I've had the fortune of witnessing emerging change practitioners, those who are early career, who don't necessarily have the experience behind them or, the biggest of toolkits, but I've seen them be very, very successful with agile change. Now, the reason for that is that they're bringing their beginner's mindset to the workplace. They're bringing curiosity, a sense of play, a willingness to try things and see how it works. And that can be equally successful to you. So I've had to change my thinking on that question now. Anyway, if you found this a useful exercise, I've got a couple more questions to get through over the next couple of weeks. But if you've got your own questions you would like me to cover in this type of format, please leave them in the comments. I'd love to see them.